Welcome back. So, today we're gonna go ahead, install and set up Workshark to function properly. What is Workshark? Well, Workshark is used for monitoring of all network traffic, and it gives us some pretty advanced options there. Why do we need this? Well, before I show you how to do anything in terms of this course subject, ethical hacking, I wish to show you how you can protect yourselves and how can you be aware of what is going on in your system. So, since we will be opening up our system for external communication, we will be allowing traffic from outside to reach us, and we will be reaching to outside. We want to be able to monitor and be aware of what is going on. So that is the primary principle, I guess, to all of this, because you want to be able to know what is going on with your own system. By the way, one of the best ways of figuring out whether or not your system is infected, whether or not your system is making unauthorized communication, is to set up a proxy through which that system's connections go and then monitor the traffic on that proxy. And if you see something that's not supposed to be there, you know that there is something fishy going on. Anyway, let's go ahead and type in DNF. I would advise you to have one root terminal and one non-root terminal, but you can also achieve this in this terminal by typing in sudo and then DNF, basically. However, I like to open up a root terminal, type in sudo su, and you will become root after giving the proper password. So DNF, search Wireshark, and this is going to give me a couple of options. I can type in DNF install Wireshark, and this is going to pick one of the two. It's going to pick on the basis of whether your system is 64-bit or 32-bit. The second one is for 64-bit. And then I would like to install this as well. So I need the GUI. So Control-Shift-C and the Control-Shift-V. Wireshark is also fully usable via the terminal. But for some tools, if there is no need to use the terminal, if the GUI interface is nice and fine and dandy, sometimes I do prefer it, actually. Especially in Wireshark, although pretty much everything can be done via the command line as well. Wireshark is compatible with pretty much all the operating systems out there, so if you have a MacBook or something like that, you can also install it there and see what's going on in your network as well. And now, I'm going to go ahead and start Workshark as a regular user, and this is not going to work in the best way because Wireshark has no access to the network interfaces, and this is a problem. And since no interface can be used for capturing in this system with the current configuration, it cannot run a dump cap in child process while permission denied, and it's clearly asking you whether or not a user is a member of the Wireshark group, and then it's telling me to try a certain command which will enable for this to occur. So let's go ahead and actually do it and see what happens. Just basically rewrite it from here. I mean, do what the program is instructing you to do. So user mod -a-g Wireshark, and then type in your username. So don't type in root, but your username. Chronic, so that's mine. You will obviously write yours and not mine, as it would make literally no sense if you wrote yours. If you wrote mine, that is. And then press enter. And let's go ahead and see what happens. Okay, so it says still that it cannot actually do this. It cannot actually get the interfaces. Well, there are two things that could have went wrong. One of the primary problems, could be that we just need to relog to our system and then actually see if the changes have been applied, because usually such changes are not applied until a new session is created. If that fails, we'll go ahead and take a look at a different approach. So let's go here, leave, and I'm going to go ahead and state that I want to log out. and this is gonna pause the recording, so we will continue in the follow-up. Okay, so welcome back. After I have logged out and logged back in, Workshark seems to be working just fine with a regular user. So Workshark starts off, and I get a list of all the interfaces from the left side. Now Wireshark is filled to the brim with options on end, but I'm gonna go over some of the basic ones here with you now so that you can orientate yourselves and know how to use its basic options and filters. And later on, as we move and progress with the tutorial, we'll probably be utilizing Wireshark, and then I'll explain all the things that we need to know once we get to that point in time. But you do need to have it set up at least so you can monitor what is going on your network. Now, you can go ahead and pick an interface which you are using at the moment, or you can just click on any. Any will capture any traffic going on any of the listed interfaces. So if I go ahead and start this, there is nothing here. There is nothing here because I have no connections of whatsoever going on. But if I was to, let's say, ping google.com, and please, when you're pinging, don't leave the ping to hang. Don't be rude. Just ping a couple of times and stop. If the people are kind enough to allow ICMP protocols for ping to go through, then don't abuse it because you're wasting somebody's bandwidth. And as you can see, immediately the ping goes through and there is traffic happening. What I meant by this is that ping, I mean, it doesn't take a huge amount of bandwidth, but it still consumes somebody's bandwidth. And if somebody's kind enough to allow you to ping them, then don't just leave the ping to go on in. Ping a couple of times, see if you have internet connectivity, see if you can get the packages going, press Ctrl-C, which is a universal interrupt on the Unix terminal. Anyway, so what do we got here? We have source IP address, destination IP address, and protocol. Those are the three main things that we are interested in here. Now, you can apply filters here, and I'm just going to go ahead and open up a web browser. That's going to cause a ton of connections to occur. And as you can see, it's beginning to fill itself just by opening it up and by going to the home page. So what I can do here is basically do some sort of filtering. I can say TCP, well actually UDP, a UDP protocol, and I can type in dot port and EQ for equals. Oops, am I missing something here? UDP dot port. Okay. Equals, and we're gonna say 53. 53 is the port for DNS servers. DNS servers work on the port 53. If I press enter, and you can see immediately that protocol has changed to DNS, and all the queries, I have all my DNS queries here. You can see where am I going from where. As you can see, the first one was google.com that I've pinged. And something to do with Fedora project, the one that the landing page is set to the Fedora. And again, you have the certification and a lot of other things. It doesn't really matter. I can state, hey, port 80, press enter. There's nothing, of course, because there's nothing on UDP. You have UDP and TCP. UDP does not require acknowledgement, TCP does. Press enter. There you go. Let me open up, I don't know, let's say YouTube. And type in YouTube. You can immediately see that there is more traffic going on. You can see the source IP addresses and the destination IP addresses. So from which point to which point is the traffic going? So yeah. If I change this back up again, let me just go ahead and do this UDP and port 53, and if I go to the YouTube website, I should see, it's not called YouTube anymore, it's like Y static. There we go. So there are some things for YouTube here, they have to be, if I go over to their website, they're gonna appear there. So you can see towards which domains are you requesting, which domains are being requested from your machine. Now there are other filters which you can apply, which you can basically filter by IP. Okay. You can basically type in IP dot DST, which is destination. You can type in SRC, which is the source. So DST, I want a destination IP. I want to filter by a destination IP, and you can just type in double equal mark, which also stands for equals. And what do we got here? Well, I'm not gonna. Let me just find an IP address here. Okay, let's use the 54 one. IP.dst equals, and we're gonna use the 54.229.105.92. Okay, so IP destination and all the requests towards this IP address have been listed here, all of them, down to the last one since the capture has started. So you have all of them. If you want to look by a source, you just change this IP to .src. So those are the two basic filters that I wanted to show you. One to filter by IP address, another one to filter by protocol and port. That way you will be able to know what is going on your network. Now you can of course save these files, then open them up later on if you like with Workshark as well. Nothing to it, we'll just save and double click on the saved file and that's it. Or just go on to file, open, and then find the file which you have actually saved. Yeah. So that shouldn't be much of a problem. So these are the 3-4 basic things that you need to know about Workshark, and this is how you configure it to run as a non-root user, which is the most important part of these setup videos. We're setting up our environment so that we can use it later on. Anyway, gonna go ahead and bid you farewell. And before I do, don't worry about some of these things here. The errors that you get, they're not really important. They're not really errors, they're warnings. Warning is not an error. There's a failure. When it's an error, it will fail. When it's a warning, it's fine. It's gonna still work, but some things might not work. In our case, it's the oxygen theme, which is completely irrelevant for Workshark. Anyway, now I bid you farewell and hope to see you later on.